Yes? What can I get for you today? I heard that there were raiders near the rim of the city. I hope somebody takes care of them. Hello everyone, I am 8mm Mauser Man, and this video is a little bit different than normal, so I thought I would film it in a different location, i.e. the 8mm Mauser Man kitchen table. But I do like the sketchy arms dealer vibes that this setting gives off. Like, trade offer. In any case, today I am connecting with a few other YouTubers and we are doing a collaboration video where we're just going to be talking about a few different firearms. We're going to be talking about our favorite Milsurps. We're going to be breaking them down into a few different categories, including owned and unowned, and less practical and more practical. We're also going to do that for both rifles and pistols. The other YouTubers that I'm doing this with are the Blind Sniper, Guns, Gear, and Guns with Geary Gunderson, which I still think is one of my favorite channel names, and Great Northwest Weapons. I'll leave links to their channels below, and the video should be their video that they're publishing today. We aren't publishing all at the same time though, so if it's not up now, just check back later tonight. With that being said though, we have a total of 8 guns to cover, so we should probably just jump into it. But I do want to say one thing first. I personally chose to have the restriction of not including any AR variants or AK variants. So for example, this M16A1 is a military surplus rifle, although it was built on a modern lower receiver. And one of my favorite guns is the Zastava M76, which I don't actually own, but it is a Yugoslavian sniper rifle chambered in 8mm Mauser. It's basically just an AK that's been scaled up to 8mm and is a sniper rifle. Very cool. But neither of those are included in today's list. So the first thing I would like to talk about is my favorite Impractical Milsurp that is a rifle that I own. And the rifle I chose to take for this is the Mauser M44. Now, first off, I really like this gun because it is short, so it has a massive fireball out of the end when you fire it. And as a Mauser gun, you can find 7.62x54R ammo everywhere. Also, the side-folding bayonet is very, very cool. You need a bayonet in case the ruffians get too close. While this rifle is super awesome, there are some things that I don't really like about it. This one, just as an example, does have a really rough bolt, and that's not all Mausers, but it is some of them, including this example. Also though, the side-folding bayonet makes this rifle quite inaccurate when the bayonet is folded. It doesn't shoot to point of aim unless you have the bayonet out, and for most practical situations in the modern day, you probably don't want to have the bayonet out. But they are pretty cool rifles. Now, I wouldn't be 8mm Mauser Man unless we talked about an 8mm Mauser rifle, so my favorite Milsurp that I do not own, but would really like to someday, is an Egyptian Hakim. It is an Egyptian licensed copy of the Lunman, I think is what it's called, rifle. That's Swedish, but the Egyptian ones are in 8mm instead of the Swiss cartridge. They are semi-automatic and a true gas impingement, unlike the AR-15, which is kind of a hybrid gas impingement. But the way that the action works is if you want to pull the bolt back, you take the dust cover, push it forward over the bolt, and then yank it back. And then you would load in your 2 stripper clips, and then hit it backwards, and it would shoot forward. It's a really weird action. There's something involving the safety. They have an adjustable gas block, and they're huge. But I've also heard they're very accurate rifles. I just think they're really cool. Now, their impracticality just comes from the weird action that they have, but they are still pretty awesome rifles. Would I want to fight with one? No. Do I want to own one and shoot it? Yes. Now, my favorite practical military surplus rifle that I own, other than the M16, we're not including that one, is my Ishapur 2A1. This is a Lee Enfield variant that is in 7.62 NATO or 7.62x51. And this is, in my opinion, one of the best bolt-action military rifles ever made. In fact, I wouldn't want to go into a combat zone with a military bolt-action rifle, but if I had to use a military surplus rifle in a combat zone, this one would probably be it. They hold 10 rounds and feed from 2 5-round 7.62 NATO stripper clips, like the same ones you would use on an M14 or an FAL. Other than that though, they are just like an Enfield. They are cock on close, and many of the parts are in fact interchangeable. Last week I did a video about why the Lee Enfield is one of the best bolt-action rifles ever made, and this was my example of that. I think that this rifle is a fantastic rifle. The round is very capable, 7.62x51 is very prevalent, and this is, in my opinion, about as fast as you can shoot a military bolt-action rifle. They're just really cool. Now for my favorite practical Milsurp that I do not own, I would say an M1 carbine and caliber 30 carbine. I don't own one of these, but I have shot one. One of my friends has one. And once I shot it, I was in love. It recoils very light, almost like an AR. It's actually a little bit lighter than your run-of-the-mill AR, although the caliber is less powerful, so let's be clear about that. But they're just really, really cool, and honestly, they're usable for a lot of the things that an AR would be. I would take a more modern rifle if I had to for something like a fight, but I wouldn't feel like I would be at that much of a disadvantage if I had to use an M1 carbine in a modern practical situation. They're accurate, they're light shooting, they're easy to carry and hold. They're just really, really cool. I'll sell this to ye, but it's as is, and I take no liability if it blows up in your hands. Now, let's move on to the pistols. My favorite owned military surplus pistol is my CZ82. I really like how this pistol fits in my hand, and I really like how it shoots. Also, in my experience, the CZ82 has an absolutely fantastic trigger pull. Not that that's the most important thing, but it is neat. I also like how simple this is, and 9mm Makarov is a powerful enough round for a lot of situations. I would say the biggest flaw I'm finding right now is that 9mm Makarov is not always the easiest to get your hands on, especially defensive rounds. When I thought about my favorite fun, unowned military surplus pistol, many things came to mind, such as a Steyr Hahn, which is a top clip-fed military surplus pistol. They're really cool, and they were used in World War I. I also thought about the 1895 Nagant and the Webley revolver. They're both just pretty neat revolvers with an interesting mechanism considering many of the other revolvers we see. However, the one that clearly stood out and is far above my price range is the high standard HDM. These were .22 long rifle, silenced pistols often used by American Special Forces in the Vietnam War. They were used for things like taking down patrols or taking down guard dogs to not alert the enemy. The reason I would want one of these is because, one, they have a really, really unique history. Two, I just really love shooting .22, that's why I have stuff like this. Now, my favorite practical military surplus pistol is, yes, you guessed it, my CZ82, because, well, frankly, it's the only true military surplus pistol that I know. I do have this one, which is a, I guess, security pistol, so if you would count a security or police pistol as a military surplus pistol, I have this one too. But either way, I really like my CZ82. And one of the reasons why I think it's super practical is that I have an inside the waistband holster for it, and it's a little bit large, but it is still a good carry size. I'm getting my permit soon, and when I do, this is a pistol I'll likely be carrying on me. Are there better options for carry? Yes, definitely, but I like this pistol a lot. Now for my favorite practical unowned Milsurp, it may be contentious that this is not actually a pistol. However, it was both fielded as a pistol, replaced pistols, and if it's imported into the United States, is legally a pistol, and it is the VZ61 Scorpion. Preferably though, I would like one in 9mm Makarov. They were originally in 32 ACP, and 32 ACP is just a pretty underpowered, weak cartridge, especially if it's in a semi-automatic version that I would have in the US. Also, then I can buy one ammo and use it in both my VZ61 and my CZ82. You might be thinking that this is not very practical, but with a pistol brace, it's sort of like a small carbine that you can have on you. It'd be a great weapon for things like home defense, and it would fit in a bag really well. It would be a very covert and deployable small weapon, especially with something like a folding stock. This is a gun that I would really like to own someday, and honestly, they're really not that expensive, so I could. And that's actually the case with most of my unowned weapons, although the high standard HDM, those can be quite expensive, especially for a .22 pistol. I tried to keep them as things that I could afford and hopefully maybe someday will actually get. Thank you so much for watching. I would love if you went to the other channels and watched their videos, commented on them, saw what they did, and see if their channels are something that you would like to stick around for. Also, if this is your first time on this channel, hello and thank you for watching. Also, I'd like to say that I still have plenty of these 8mm Mauser Man stickers, so if you would like one, there is a Venmo in the description. And in the United States, if you would like me to send you one, just Venmo $3 and include an address, and I will send you one. If you include $6 or $9, I'll send you 2 or 3. Now, I am 8mm Mauser Man, and come back now if you need more ammo, but I lived on. Which proves it's hard to get the best of a man named John. Hey, John. Hey, John.